All right, what's up, everybody? It's 6 o'clock. It's Thursday night. You're here. I'm here. It's game time. Let's go. Bobby Gray here, founder, Texit Coin, amongst other things, as you would know if you've been tuning in recently. Thanks so much for joining. We're going to make tonight a little bit abbreviated because we've got the Ranger Roundup going down, and this is the first day of official training. We've got a fun dinner tonight. I'm going to try to get there and say hello. The reason for that is because, one of the key important elements about the Ranger Roundups is to invite out our best affiliates, the guys that are doing the most to help us fill the seats on the rocket ship, share our story, invite friends, family, relatives to join us. We bring them out here so that we can connect with them in person. And that's a really important and powerful thing. How many cryptos do you know of where you get to go out from time to time and break bread with, other people that are doing the same thing, mining the same crypto? How many times can you go out and, hear presentations that are uh, made available to us through top people in the community? How many times do you know that you can get invited to come out and hang out with the main office personnel of a crypto and share stories and opportunities to have fun with them, or get to hang out with the founder himself? And so I want to give these guys that are here in town that took time out of their busy schedules as much opportunity to connect with me as possible, to look me in the eye, to ask me the tough questions, to determine for themselves whether or not I'm being honest with them about Texit Coin. There are usually two types of people that tune into our Thursday night calls. One type of person is somebody that's brand new. You just heard about Texit Coin. You want to learn more about it. You heard that there's this Thursday night Zoom call that goes down live every week, most of the time put on by me, and you're here to learn more. And so for you, welcome to TexitCoin. TexitCoin is an original layer one cryptocurrency that's mined exclusively in Texas. It's like a Bitcoin time machine. It's like you went back to the early days of crypto when Bitcoin was all about the mission of digital, decentralized, peer-to-peer currency, money that could be exchanged between individuals, that's not gate kept or controlled by the banks. That's what Bitcoin was in the early days. That's the opportunity that I saw that got me excited as a champion of honest money and complementary and alternative currencies. That's one type of person that shows up for the calls. The other type of person is somebody that's in our community, been here a day, a week, a month, a year or so, and is looking to plug in to good information. On Tuesday night, we talk about, updates in the mining community, the comp plan, the affiliate program, the nuts and bolts of it all. And then on Thursday, it's really more of a, general discussion about all things Texit Coin, whatever's hot in the world these days. But the people that tune in on Thursday night are usually guys that are just looking for insight. You're out there, you're having conversations with people inside of your community, your circle. They're asking questions, and you want to be able to come back and get those questions answered. You want to be able to come back, plug in, get the latest and greatest and best quality information that you can possibly get your hands on. And that, of course, comes directly from me. I'm the guy that started it. I'm the guy that knows the most about it. I'm the guy that's the most passionate about its success. And so we get into a whole range of topics on our Thursday night call based on whatever is, kind of the hot thing in the market or these days. And so tonight we're going to talk about two things. And again, we'll try to get through it as quickly as we can so I can go hang out with our Rangers in McKinney. But the two things we're going to talk about tonight are the impending rug pull. We'll explain that more in a little bit. And then the second thing is that the proof is always in the pudding. So maybe I'll use my little whiteboard here to explain these two things that we'll dive into and put some notes on them as we go. Who else is out there? Is anyone else there? Out there? I got 183 of us tuned in tonight. I'm the only panelist. Let's create a new whiteboard so we can take some notes. Someone's there. T-Bone's there. What's happening, Tim? Thanks for joining tonight. How is our first day of training going?
First day of training went awesome. So it was very positive, and man, it's neat to see a group. They're all excited, hungry to learn, and hungry to take things back to their community.
Good. Well, I appreciate you being here. We got a fun day tomorrow of hot air balloon rides and sports cars on racetracks. And so that should be a lot of fun as well. The proof is in the pudding. Number two. So here's our notes. Is in the pudding. All right, so that's our agenda tonight. Okay. I'm enjoying the whiteboard. Somebody did it a lot better than I did it, but it's fun to do. Okay. So that's what we're going to get into tonight. And um, again, the reason for that is because you guys are out there. You're our front line. You're the first line of defense. So you guys are getting hit day in and day out with the accusations and the concerns and the is this the end and what's going on? You know, a lot of people are new to crypto. They don't know what a bear market is. And so the warning signs go off. We've talked extensively in the past about pump and dumps. We've talked extensively in the past about pyramids. We've talked extensively in the past about the meme coins and the get rich quick schemes that are out there. And I don't really think we've spent too much time talking about the rug pull. And the rug pull is the hardest one because you never see it coming. You can look at all the fundamentals, you can look at all the data, you can look at all of that stuff, and you never see the rug pull coming. It's the hardest one. And so I did some work today with my AI that I want to share with you. And my AI, I asked it to like tell me about the three biggest crypto scam disaster collapses of all times. And it pointed out to me the three major ones that it knew about, and it has access to quite a bit of information. But it wanted to go through with me and talk about BitConnect, OneCoin, and BitClub Network. And so I'm sure some of the people on this call are familiar with those things. Maybe you were in them. Maybe you knew somebody that was a participant or promoter of one of those things. And so I asked my AI, I said, look, I need you to do me a favor. I'm going to ask you about these things, and it's going to be real easy for you to do what everybody else does. Just go scam. Yeah, it was a scam. Here are the details. Look it up in the Wikipedia page if you want. I want you to take a moment, AI, ChatGPT specifically, and I want you to like try to put yourself in their shoes. Give them the um, greatest amount of, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, belief that you possibly can. Let's give them a little bit of, compassion for a moment and try to assume that what they were doing was something that was potentially great that just didn't work out. Why? Because it's real easy to throw the scam accusation at somebody. It's real easy. You label something a scam, it's a scam. The problem is that if everything's a scam, then nothing's a scam. Well, what kind of scam was it? Was it a pyramid? Was it a Ponzi? Was it a pump and dump? Like you've got different categories of it. And so what I want to do is give some of these guys some gracious and generous latitude. I want you to look at these three major failures and try to see if there was any redeeming quality. And so I want to go through these three with you real quick. Number one was OneCoin. I don't know a lot about OneCoin. It really went down primarily before I was really paying attention in crypto. I got into crypto mostly in 2017 when my friend bought some Bitcoin off me and I turned them into the cold storage coins. We'll get into that in a few minutes. So OneCoin was really before my time, and I didn't know anybody in it back then. I wasn't really paying attention. But my AI is like, no, 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 no. OneCoin is like a total scam. They never had a blockchain. It was a centralized database with a ledger of balances. Now, look, I have no idea if this is true. I wasn't there. It wasn't me. I'm just relaying what I was asking my AI about. And I asked it to be as kind of like sympathetic as it could. And it said no. No, OneCoin was never real. Well, could it have been legit? What would they have to have done to make it legit? And AI is like, no, they would have had to come clean about everything and totally pivot and let everybody know they lied about the whole thing and it was just never going to work out. And so I said, okay, well, that's a pretty good example of just a fraud. If you're saying one thing and it's totally different and, you can't even like, get anybody to pretend that you were telling the truth back then. then it's no good. And so that was OneCoin. And again, I wasn't familiar with it. If you've got more information on OneCoin, point me in the right direction. I don't really care too much about what happened, but again, I'm trying to go through the basics of these big failed projects. OneCoin, I don't remember how big AI said that OneCoin was when it failed. OneCoin. OneCoin was a multi-billion dollar fraud. Doesn't give me an exact amount, but multi-billion dollar, let's go with that. Okay, so then number two, we've got BitConnect, and BitConnect was a $2.4 billion fraud. BitConnect, according to my very gracious AI, tells me that it was a classic Ponzi dressed up in crypto, crypto realm. Basically, you put money in and they have some magic secret trading algorithm bot, and then it pays you back a guaranteed percentage day in, day out, or week in, week out, whatever the numbers were. And you're going out there and you're recruiting people. So it even had a pyramid thing attached to it, a compensation plan. And so ultimately, it was kind of doomed to fail just on basic math. Anytime you have these guarantees and all that stuff, you always know that if the going gets tough, it's going to be very difficult to sustain. And so it's like, ugh, I don't know. Could it have been legit? Maybe, but they would have had to change this, and this, and allow the market to really decide what the value of the coin was going to be as it went through its ups and downs of its various growth phases. And then that brings us to our last one with BitClub Network. And BitClub is actually kind of near and dear to my heart because that's the vehicle through which I discovered not just really crypto in general, but also crowdsourcing a mine. I had a front row seat to watch that thing get started, watch it grow, wasn't involved, didn't know anything about it until it was really too late. Um, but I knew what they did and I knew what they brought together. And I knew how big it was. And that was incredibly intriguing to me. And I asked AI, I'm like, what about this one? They're like, well, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. This one's not cut and dry because they weren't, doing guaranteed returns. They had a network marketing element attached to it, which became kind of the major focus of the business once they weren't able to keep up with buying the mining hardware. But ultimately, they were crowdsourcing a mine, and they had some things went wrong. They had some numbers that they inflated to try to make it look like they were doing better than they were. And if they didn't do that stuff and they were more honest and upfront with people, they may have had a chance to survive. And that was a $722 million catastrophe that went down back in 2018, 2019. And so, as we look at these big crypto scams, I asked my AI to format for me kind of a checklist, the crypto rug pull checklist, we call it. And it's a 2-minute test before you buy anything. And it says if you're coming across this list and two or more of these are true, you're not early, you're exit liquidity. And that's really what we're up against right now in the marketplace. People say, oh, Texit Coin, what's that? It's a crypto that's mined in Texas. Sounds cool. Let me do some research. They look at the chart, they see we hit $7, they see it's back down to $1, and they go, no, 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 no. I don't want to be the idiot that puts my money in as the ship is going down and you can barely see the hull sinking below the surface of the ocean. That's a fair thing. That's a fair challenge. That's a fair objection because what else do you have to look at? Now, Bitcoin's different. You can point to Bitcoin today and people don't go, nope, it's dead. Look, it just dropped 25%. They look at the track record and they say, well, it dropped 85% here and 90% there and 50% here and 75% there. Just another day in the Bitcoin world. But when we're talking about a brand new project that's going through its first cycle, how can you possibly refute that type of objection? How can you go back to that type of concern? And that's what I want to give you today. So, what I'm working through is an article that's going to take the things that I worked on with my crypto chat GPT conversation, and we're going to formulate it into an article that you can use to your advantage as you're coming across these very fair objections in the marketplace. Okay, so here's number one. Can you actually sell the token? Is there a contract that blocks selling? Are there special permissions required to sell? Do we have anti-dump rules that only apply to the buyers. Now, this is a really interesting one because people keep saying, well, hey, man, we have to stop people from dumping. We need to create a lockup. We need to create a staking thing. We need to create this, that, the other thing. Everybody else has it. We need it. No, we want to avoid it at all cost. As long as we have an open and free market and people can buy and sell any amount, anytime, we've got a fair market. The moment we put a restriction on there, the moment we put a rule in there, is the moment that people start looking at it and saying, oops, you just checked off the first one on the the rug pull checklist. We have a wide open market. We let the price do what it wants. It could be up, it could be down, but there's no restriction whatsoever on your ability to buy or sell. So this is number one. According to AI, it's all right here. I'll go through it with you. Number two, who controls the liquidity? Decentralized, one wallet unknown. Liquidity can be removed instantly. We're not involved in the market right now. We don't have any cash to put in to support the market with our own liquidity. So it's the market that provides the liquidity, not me, might be you. We don't control it. We don't have access to the user information. We don't know who's selling. Even when wallets get hacked and those coins show up on the exchange, people go, hey, man, you have to freeze it. That's my coin. Guys, it's not my market. I don't control it. You don't want me to have those powers. If we've got a free currency, we got to be ready to take it on the chin when we get scammed. The moment Bobby's able to start going in there and turning off people's wallets and liquidity, we've got a new issue. Number three, is there a real product or is it just a token? Is there a working product? Is there a mine? Is there a network? Are there users that are actively using it? Did the tokens exist before the infrastructure? Now, this is kind of an easy one for us because we're a layer one mineable coin, and the coins are made by the mine. And we've had a working product since day one. We've had problems with the working product. We've had times when the network was down. We had times that we had to turn it off because we forgot to lock the back door. We have products that we'll get into that in just a second because I know there's more of a fun question coming here. Are returns promised or implied? Or is there a guaranteed yield? Is there a fixed daily or weekly return? Is there risk-free income language? No, we've never had that. Never used it from day one. No guarantee. It's a risk. We're not financial advisors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But this is an easy one for us as well. Now, the mine pays out every day, but we don't know what those coins are worth. They could be worth 80 cents. They could be worth $1.10. They could be worth $7, as we've seen in the past. So we don't control what the value is of the coins on the marketplace, but the mine does pay out the daily mined, reward as it's proportionally calculated across our entire community of miners. And that works day in, day out. Next, who holds the majority of the tokens? Does the team control the supply? Is there a vesting schedule? Is there a community allocation but no proof? If we own it, we can dump it. Now, this is an interesting one as well because you can go to the block explorer and you can see who the top 100 holders are. You know that my coin's on the top of the list with 2 million coins in that wallet. You can also go there and see that it hasn't moved since I added those coins, I think more than a year ago. As far as all the coins, the mine pays out every day directly to the miners. And you can do the exact math on your payout every single day. You can also see the charts on the website that show the average that is paid out to each miner. Is the team verifiable? Now, this is a fun one. Do we use pseudonyms? Are we anonymous? No real names, no public history, no accountability. We're going to talk more about this in a few minutes. Anonymous is usually bad. Doesn't mean that it's bad for sure. The world doesn't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is today, but we would like you to think and believe that because we have a real project, we're comfortable sharing with you our real identities. Number 7, is the marketing louder than the engineering? Or do we have influencers everywhere? No, we have a no influencer policy. Are we doing constant hype countdowns? No, we don't have countdowns to anything. No, we had a countdown, some time ago to our official launch date, which was March 2nd, 2025. Do we have little technical discussion? We talk about the tech stuff every Tuesday. So it says to watch out for hype, look for more substance. Number 8, are funds custodial? Does the project hold the user funds? No. The mine pays out every day direct to your wallet. Now, we changed it a little bit so that we could send you a welcome kit that wasn't tied to your mining output. So you got to get your welcome kit in the mail. Then you got to go in and tie the coin that's in your welcome kit to your account. And that way the system will offload all the coins that were escrowed on your behalf. We did that because coins were getting lost in the mail. People were not aware that they were supposed to save them. So now the coins are held until you log in the first time and activate the connection between the mine and your coins. Number nine, is there pressure to act now? Is there a last chance energy going on? Fear based urgency, limited time bonuses. Don't miss this language. Now, we do promotions. We've got a January promotion going on right now. But in general, I would say that we don't like to use fear as we're communicating our story and inviting people to join us. Number 10, this one's really fun. What happens if growth stops? Does it still work or does it collapse? Does the mine still work? We stopped growing back in September. And yet, every day since then, the mine has paid out about 6 o'clock Texas time. Does our model depend entirely on new buyers? Is there any independent revenue? If the token price drops, does everything else stop? If growth stops and dies, AI would like you to believe that it is a Ponzi. So there you go. We're going strong. We've come up. I was actually reading this earlier and I'm like, you know what I should do? I should put our accomplishments on the website with the timeline next to it. And that way you can say, like, oh, well, okay, the market's down, the price is down, but they're still accomplishing these major things. We just released our token program, our layer two, a couple weeks ago. We're accomplishing goals even when the market's down. So that's it. It gave me 10 things, and then it goes on to talk about scam versus risk, which we've talked about. Um, and I asked it to work it up into an article for me, and again, just be fair about what the scams are, what the projects are that were big and didn't work out, the likelihood that they were legitimate scams, or if they just became scams because of mismanagement or something going wrong. And we'll turn this into a powerful tool that you can share with people that you're talking to that are saying, man, I don't want to be that guy that's putting my cash in while the ship's going down. And so those are the classic ones, and those are the warning signs to watch out for. But again, the really tough one, the really difficult one is the rug pull. And we talked about, how this isn't a Ponzi because we're not borrowing from people today to pay back people that came on a year ago. If we stop selling this week, we've got no commissions to pay out next week. That would be unfortunate, but we don't owe any money. We're not borrowing, we're not guaranteeing a return. We talk about how it's not a pyramid because we have a comp plan that has a cap on how many seats you can buy and has a cap on how much we pay out per seat. And what that means is that the guy at the top, that's me, makes just as much as the guy that gets in and does his three left and three right. And within a week, he makes the same amount of money that I'm able to make because we cap out at $3,000 per week per tracking center. But again, the rug pull. I keep coming back to the rug pull because Texit Coin is at its perfect rug pull moment. I'll admit it, it sounds terrible, but here we are and we're looking at it and saying, man, the going's getting tough. We'll admit it. The early guys that got in, they probably sold plenty of coins along the way. They cashed out, they bought themselves, something nice. They paid off their debt, they bought a house, whatever it is. The early guys did fine. And so all of a sudden the rug pull happens and the guys that just got in last week are stuck holding the bag. And that's terrible. So the ultimate question, is it a rug pull? Is this our rug pull moment? Do I come on to a call and go, unfortunately, I just received notice that we need to stop and we're closed and it's over? Rug pulls are easy, takes no effort. A lie or two here or there, or you just look around and you go, tried my best and I give up. That's a rug pull. And so you can't know for sure whether or not this project is a rug pull unless you know what's in my heart. And that's the reason that we have these get togethers. That's the reason we bring these Rangers out to meet the team, to talk to the people at the office. We've had nobody quit our office, never missed payroll. We've fired people for cause, or we've laid people off to cut our costs. We've furloughed people. No one's quit. Never had anyone. Quit. It's not saying they wouldn't or they couldn't. But we invite people to come out here and meet us, see firsthand what their thoughts are. Do we have a business? Do we care about its success? Are we just here for a quick buck? Well, I want to run through a quick family photo album for you guys because unless you really know what's in my heart, you're completely unable to judge that for yourself. And you'll never really know what's in my heart. But I'm going to show you a couple pictures because we know the standard Bobby story, right? 2008, I start the American Open Currency Standard. 2012, I make the original Bitcoin. 2012, I make the or do the congressional testimony in DC. 2017, make the cold storage coins, sell my mint in 2023, whatever it was, and start Texit Coin in 2024. The end. That's it. But as I'm sure you can imagine, there's a lot of stuff that happened kind of in the middle of all that that fills in some of the blanks. You talk about some of the good, the accomplishments that I had, the world famous coins that I created, the businesses that I started and grew and sold. And you talk about the bad, the spectacular failure that I had in 2013 that landed me on the beach in Thailand for sitting in timeout for 7 years. And so we take all of that and we say, okay, well, what's the major theme here? Well, I want to show you some pictures and I want to give you just a little bit more insight into the life of Bobby. And hopefully that'll help give you just a tad bit more information than you have right now, which again, I think is really important because this is the type of stuff that we evaluate when we decide whether or not something is ripe for a rug pull. We talked about who the people are. Are they anonymous? Well, I'm Bobby Gray. I'm the guy that started it. I'm the guy that cares about its success. I'm the guy that's going to win the most if I'm right and we're successful together. So who's Bobby Gray? Well, let's take a quick look. All right. So I got a couple pictures here. It's just a real quick walk through, some family photos that I want to share with you to show you a little bit more about who I am. And then again, hopefully through that, maybe we've met before, maybe we've bumped into each other. If you're on this call, thank you. We've probably, worked together a little bit. Maybe you're brand new. I don't know. Maybe you're here in town waiting for me to show up at dinner. I don't know, but I'm going to share a little bit more with you. And then hopefully that'll give you the ability to firm a more, a higher level of conviction about the fact that I actually do care about what we're doing and I want it to be successful and I'm not going to give up. I'm going to work all the way through it, thick and thin. All right, so here's a couple little scruffy kids for you. Before I started my adventure in the silver industry, I did seminars. I did seminars all over the country, and this is actually a box of speakers and an amp that I used, and it was incredibly good because I could fit my two babies right into this box. And so here we are, early 2008. I'm just wrapping up getting out of the seminar business, and I'm contemplating what the future holds for me after that. But I've been a really good dad, I think, over the years. I've got two kids. That's Ashton. He's in nursing school right now in New York, and that's Samantha. And Samantha, you probably already know Samantha's story. Maybe you've seen her in a video or two on social media. But she's great. She's my daughter. So I think these photos and stuff are in order. I'm going to try as hard as I can to keep it chronologically accurate. But that's where this journey begins in 2007, 2008. This is a picture of my family and me when we took a road trip out to San Francisco, and that's Alcatraz there in the background. I got to visit it as a tourist, not a inmate, fortunately. But I went out to San Francisco because I was attending the retirement dinner of a guy named Bernard Vanathis. And Bernard Vanathis was the guy that started the Liberty Dollar, which is how I got into alternative currency. So I'm going down the rabbit holes. I'm finding out about Federal Reserves and all that stuff. Maybe you tuned into those kind of things as well. And I joined the Liberty Dollar as a regional currency officer to help establish silver barter currencies across the US. Well, Bernard announces his retirement. Right after I met him, he got arrested. He's going to retire. I want to be the top guy. I submitted a proposal to become the national currency director for the Liberty Dollar. I went out to attend his birthday dinner in San Francisco, and of course, he shot me down. Now, I also fell in love with my favorite boat, which you can see here, which is called the Maltese Falcon. It's the largest sailing vessel, or it was back in the day. Bezos is bigger now, that you can run with a single yachtsman. And so that was in San Francisco Bay. Anyway, that's where I started. That's where I started my journey. My family in early 2009 decided to rent an RV and take ourselves across the country to go on like a Liberty tour, right? We've got some coins. We want to go meet some people. And we were palling around with this guy named Michael Badnarik, who was actually a 2004 Libertarian presidential candidate for US president. And so we invited him to come with us. We got pulled over in Illinois, going the speed limit, strangely enough, with loaded weapons in the RV. And these guys were nice enough to listen to our story about how the Constitution gives us the right as normal, ordinary citizens to travel freely amongst the many states without requiring permission or license from the government to do so. They heard me out and they let us go without so much as a warning, which was great. Anyway, we kept traveling around the country. We ultimately ended up in Las Vegas at our first Freedom Fest conference. And so this is young me here with this cool coin cap on, showing off our wares with the American Open Currency Standard, which I started back in 2008. So this is 2009. It's the time that I had an opportunity to first meet Texas Congressman Ron Paul. You can see a little currency director there, Eddie Allen, in the background. He and I designed this Ron Paul Campaign for Liberty silver coin, and I presented it to him there at Freedom Fest right as he was walking out the door. But that was my first time to officially say hi. So there's young punk Bobby slash Rob Gray, who thought he knew it all back in 2009. They say the best day that you enjoy with your RV, the two best days are the days that you get it and the day that you return it. And so there's my family after, I don't know, what was it, 3 weeks of traveling around the country, visiting all the different cool places, meeting all the cool people. And eventually we got it back with a 30-foot scratch going down the side, and life goes on. But that was the end of that adventure. In 2009, you may also recall that I was invited to take an overnight train ride from New York City to Jekyll Island, Georgia, to retrace the steps that some of the world's most powerful men took 100 years prior. This is the 100-year anniversary of this train ride. Some of the most powerful men, under disguise, in secret, traveled overnight from New York, Manhattan, down to Jekyll Island, Georgia. This is the JP Morgan private retreat, so that they could discuss in secret what would become the Federal Reserve Act. And so I was invited to go down there on that journey and share my thoughts. And as soon as I got out of the bus, I looked at the club and I got the idea of eventually going up and stealing the flag off the top. And so on the morning of the 100-year anniversary of the Federal Reserve Act planning, I took the flag down and replaced it with the Gadsden flag, which of course was a lot of fun. I presented it to our friend G. Edward Griffin, along with a young lady named Catherine Bleich. Catherine's interesting because she actually is now running the Anarchapulco event in Mexico. I think it's next month. Maybe it's February or March. I don't remember. But we're a sponsor of that. We might go. I'm not sure. Schedule pending. We'll see. But I got liquored up, stole the flag, and had a lot of fun and gave it to Ed Griffin. And that was my first time to meet him as well. Lots and lots and lots of events, coin shows, gun shows. You can see that we're showing off our coins, copper, silver, gold, all over the country. This over here is actually a brochure for Coin of the Realm. I don't know if you can see that there, but that was our token festival, our festival token service that has become the model that we've used here as we create the downtown digital dollars. And so we did a lot of events back then. For a couple of years, it was a ton of fun. Got to meet some really great people, and and so here we are. I think this is ANA 2011, maybe. Taught my kids the value of honest trade. This is my daughter Samantha. Can I buy something for $1 in trade for these coins? And so I remember commenting back then that I appreciate that she put her offer in writing. It's always good to have that documented properly. I didn't like her rate of exchange because, we traded these copper coins for two value in our barter network. And she only wanted $1 for three of these coins and what could be a seed or a nut of some sort. I'm not really sure what was going on there, but we made a deal. We did lots of fun stuff back then too, guys. This is 2012, going out to Las Vegas again for Freedom Fest with our workers and our team and our family. And again, I hope you're seeing a recurring theme here as we go through some of these photos. There's my little lady hanging out at the Freedom Fest in 2012. This was when we were also in the process of setting up our first mint. Our manufacturer went out of business at the end of 2011. And in 2012, I got thrust into, by no choice of my own, the minting business. They defaulted on a huge order. I'm a coin designer, I'm a coin storyteller, I'm a marketer, and now all of a sudden I'm becoming a coin manufacturer, whether I like it or not. And so we were out there, we made some friends, we raised some money to start the mint. And a couple of months later, we bought a building and got ourselves into the coin manufacturing business. And that turned out to be a spectacular disaster, of course. We had a lot of fun. Recognize this guy? That's Eddie. Eddie is one of our Lone Star Rangers, a top guy in our organization, somebody that I've been working with on the mission of honest money since I met him all the way back in 2009. And that's him getting his bottom spanked in Las Vegas at the Hofbräu House. If you buy a shot, they come out and they spank you along with the paddle that they serve it on. But there we are enjoying an evening. Look, guys, it's not all work for me. Some people are like, you probably work 72 hours straight. You probably only get 1 hour of sleep a night. No, 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 guys. I've got a really good life. I sleep well. I've got plenty of time to enjoy the things that I value, my family, my kids. I take time off from time to time when I need to relax and kick back, and I wake up every day with another sense of excitement and urgency for our bright future. But there we are enjoying a real quick show at the Bellagio. You may remember that I was also invited to, like I said, testify in Washington, D.C. And there's Texas Congressman Ron Paul on August 2nd, 2012. And this is just a little bit, less than a year before I messed it all up, made some terrible mistakes, and found myself not necessarily banished, but I decided to start over in Asia. And it took me 7 years to put my life back together. But as you can see at this first photo here, as we get into the Asian part of my adventure, I was able to hold my family together, and I think of that as a real accomplishment and a virtue. Some people go through terrible, tragic things in their lives. We went through a terrific business failure back in 2013. It was 12, 13 years ago. But still, even through that, we were able to hold a family together. It wasn't easy, but it was a ton of fun because we world schooled our kids all on the other side of the world, in night markets and different currencies and religions and cultures, and we experienced it all. And it was tough, but we made the best of it. We had to go on what they call a visa run, living in Thailand about every 30 or 60 days, depending on what the rules are, and they change them frequently. We'd have to leave the country, get our passport stamped in some other country, and come back. So we'd go from Indonesia to Thailand, Thailand to Cambodia, Cambodia to Singapore, into Malaysia, and all these other places every 30 days on a forced vacation to get a new stamp in our passports. And so that was my life. 2014, trying to find the bottom of this spectacular disaster that was created by mismanagement and some mistakes that I made on my part. I learned some really, really tough and valuable lessons back then, lessons that are becoming incredibly important as we go through, a bear market cycle in this project. But it all started to change for me in about 2015, which was right after I signed the contract with the Frank Frazetta Art Museum to have a license to reproduce the famous works of science fiction fantasy artist Frank Frazetta in silver, gold, and copper coins. And I also, just last minute, decided to get the license to create statues. And so that's me there in our house in Jomtien Beach, Thailand, looking at the first batch of Frank Frazetta solid silver investment grade statues. And I was just absolutely blown away of the quality and the precision, the craftsmanship that we were able to get from the manufacturers that we found to make these things, and the fact that nobody else had done it already. Mind blowing. And so I worked hard with my family again. We started Hot Cocoa Thailand Co. Ltd. That stands for Heads or Tails, Coins and Collectibles. And there's our little team just getting started in Thailand. We grew the business successfully. And of course, I eventually ended up selling that business. Um, I made the first batch of Bitcoin cold storage coins. You can see our first batch of cold storage coins getting ready to ship to our customer, which was BitClub Network back then in the early days, my friend Joby. But I made the first batch in Thailand, and of course, it did so well that it landed me in Thai jail. I had the privilege of spending like a day and a half, 2 days, something like that, with the Thai police and the army convincing them that I wasn't the mastermind behind something called the Thai call center scam. And I got scammed out of like $250,000 back then. And it was because somebody was buying Bitcoin off of me, paying for it with money that they stole off of somebody else. And I found myself an unwitting participant in a money laundering scheme. I had no idea. That's why KYC, know your customer rules, are so important because you may not know that you're in the middle of a money laundering scheme, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not in the middle of a money laundering scheme. And they gave me an option. Let us keep this $250,000 and you get to walk, or you can stay here with us for the next 6, 9, 12 months while we figure it out and have a trial. I said, that's okay. I'll let you keep the cash. I can always make more. And I left the country and moved on over to Singapore. And so here we are at the Singapore International Coin Fair in 2018. I wrapped up my family's time in Thailand. You can see the sheer joy in my lady's eyes as we got ourselves moved out of Thailand and moved on to Singapore. That might be the end of my slideshow. Is that the end of my slideshow? It might be. Let me double check. Click, click. It is. COVID hit. Long story short, I came back in late 2020 and didn't really do much when I first came back. I was thinking about what I wanted to do. Silver prices were going crazy with COVID. My factory in Singapore was jammed up, and I said, well, I guess I'll start another factory here. So I started another factory here in McKinney. I bought a little piece of land, put a factory on it, bought another piece of land next to it for the company, and the company built a building there, put another factory in there. And by 2023, I'd said, that's it. I've had enough. The writing's on the wall. My big customer wasn't buying our best-selling coin. Our best-selling coin back then was a Donald Trump 1 ounce silver round. They didn't want to buy it anymore. The reason they didn't want to buy it was because they said, look, young people don't really like Trump. We're trying to sell more coins to young people. So that's stupid. Young people don't buy silver coins. Good luck. They said, well, you are good at this stuff. Come up with a new idea for young people. Young people want crypto. And that's when it hit me. I said, man, the writing's on the wall. Young people aren't buying silver coins. The future is digital. I've got a little bit of foot in both worlds. I've got this cold storage coin product. It's well regarded. It's never failed. It's always worked. I know a thing or two about crypto. I've got big power. I've got a big building. This almost looks like a perfect opportunity for me to sell all my factory equipment and go all in on starting my own crypto. And then, of course, that's what I did. And on January 26, 2024, in my spare bedroom, I mined the first block of Texit Coin. A couple months later, I felt good enough about the project's success that I invited my friends and my family. My daughter was first money in to join me on the journey as we crowdsourced this project. I came up with a theory. My theory was if we built this mine, that we could have $1 billion coin. We're not there yet. We haven't built the mine yet. We haven't sold the mine yet. And so ultimately, the question is, can we accomplish this goal? So people say, well, I'm willing to believe that you're not here to make a quick buck. You showed me the pictures, you told me the story, I shook your hand, I looked you in the eye. Okay, let's give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's assume for a moment that you're actually going to persist. But that's great. You got good intentions. But as we all know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So is the coin really going to make it? Well, if we believe that the coin's not a scam and we believe that my intentions are good and we believe that my heart is in the right place, this isn't a pyramid or a Ponzi or a get rich quick or a pump and dump and all the things that people will always accuse us of being, is it going to work? Okay, we're going through a bear cycle, but is it going to work? Well, we've had a couple different strategies to get this thing to the $1 billion value. Strategy number one, which is still the strategy. If we build a 100 million mega hash mine, I believe that we will have a $1 billion coin. 16, 17, 18, $19 value. Somewhere in that range is what it's going to take for us to have a $1 billion coin. Now, we haven't built the mine, we haven't sold the mine. I still think that if we build a 100 million mega hash mine, we'll have a $1 billion coin. It's simple math. That's the way it works for most proof of work coins. You can see it time and time again when you look at the charts of the mine size and the coin price. They always stay very close together. Ups and downs, some deviations here or there, but it works. That's still strategy number one. Okay, we got to crowdsource the mine. Well, along the way, people are like, well, when? When will you have the mine sold? When will you have the mine built? Tell me what this looks like. At that point, that's when I came up with something that we call the path to 16. And for a while, it was holy writ. It was a bankable formula for our growth and our price. It worked for a long time, month in, month out. We kept stair stepping our way up towards the goal. And it makes sense because if you're going to get to $1 billion value, you should be able to see the results along the way. So if our community is this big, our price should be this high. Boop, 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 boop. We got a little hot. In September, we were only supposed to be like $4. Well, we hit seven. That had nothing to do with me. It's just the market. Well, the market got red hot. People cashed out. We got some hacks. We had some problems. And then all of a sudden, there's, heavy selling pressure. The price drops. We burn up a couple $1 million of cash trying to hold the price up at 529. Boom, we run out of cash and we let the price fall. So we had the path to 16. Now, I still think the path to 16 is a good strategy on how we stair step our way up to $1 billion value. The problem is the path to 16 only works if and when our community is growing. So, do we have a plan to get our community growth? Sure. We've worked out the kinks in the comp plan. We've got ourselves through the holiday season, and now we're ready to go. We've got new people coming in, getting trained, putting the tools in their pocket, improving the websites, working out the things that have been on a long list of problems that were ready to be solved that are now being solved. So that's good stuff. But ultimately, there's something new. And this is going to be the end of our call. But the real value comes from real use and utility. Price growth comes from real purpose, whether it's the mine size, which is good, or the path to 16, which is good. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding. Is anyone use the network? Is anyone going to use the blockchain? You put all this time and effort into building it. Who's going to use it? As soon as there's a demand for it, people need TXC to use it. Either they're spending and trading TXC or they're using TXC to pay transaction fees to use it, whether it's for a video game or an online casino or a digital notary or anything else whatsoever that uses blockchain technology. You also need TXC to pay the fee along the way. The fees are small, but multiply small by millions of transactions, and you've got a substantial use case. Now, I have my own strategy. One of the three things that's within our wheelhouse: building the mine, building the tech, and building the community currencies. That's my background. And as we're just now beginning to open up that opportunity and talk to the merchants and businesses and get broad acceptance and interest, we're beginning to see that the real utility, the real purpose of TXC is what's going to drive the value. Our first big event, June 5th and 6th. So if you need to mark a new date on the calendar, early June is the new date to mark. Is that the path to 16 February date? Is that to this date? That's the date that we have a big event happening in McKinney where Downtown Digital Dollars is the preferred payment provider. We've got lots of marketing we can do before then, and we have lots of marketing that we can do after then. But if you want to mark a date on the calendar, A date when we start to see ourselves climbing out of that bear market because we finally have real purpose and utility, our first installation of downtown digital dollars. That's the time to look forward to. Now, between now and then, I'm going to be working every day. Whether the price is high or the price is low, whether the sales are up or the sales are down, it doesn't matter. The growth of our community has no effect today on our cash flow for following through on the things that we know that we need to do to get to our June goal. It has no effect on my energy level. It has no effect on my enthusiasm. Ultimately, the proof is in the pudding. But the proof for me is the real purpose and utility of the work that we've done. We build the mine, we deploy the apps. The apps use the TXC to cover the transaction costs to enjoy the services of the network. Now we've gone full circle. And as we complete that cycle, you'll see the use on the network the same way that I will. You'll see the demand for the coin the same way that I will. And that is now what I believe is going to be the major driver of interest in TXC and the price going up, the direction that we all want it to go, the direction that I know it's going to go. So I'd like you to take a moment and borrow some of my energy, borrow some of my enthusiasm, borrow some of my conviction. I've got an unlimited supply. It's the conviction and energy and enthusiasm that comes from having done something successfully for what, 17, 18 years now? Guys, I've been good at this for a long time. I've raised a family around the world doing what I love in precious metals. I had to sit in timeout for a number of years because there's some mistakes that I made. I own that. But I held my family together. We came back to the US. We built another factory. We sold it 3 times, 3 different equipment lines to 3 different buyers. We took that money and we invested it in the thing that I'm passionate about now, Texit Coin. And if you want to join me on the rocket ship, pull the cash out, put it down on the table, and take the leap of faith. It's a one-time fee. I'll never ask you for more. But if you want to take a journey with me, you want to be part of this story that I tell, then come with me. Mine Texit Coin, or buy a handful of TXC on the open market. You can buy $5 worth. If you bought $5 of Bitcoin back when it was $1, you'd be pretty happy about it today. And not only do I want you to buy that, but I want you to secure it on a cold storage coin. So you don't have to worry about counterparty risk. You don't have to worry about hackers. You don't have to worry about having this thing just brick itself because it needs to do a firmware update. That happened to all my ledgers, just so you know. Still working through it. But if you want to take a journey with me and you want to be part of my story and make your own story along the way, let's go. Let's have a great time. I'm having a blast, and I hope you are too. I'm Bobby Gray. I'm the guy that started this adventure. I'm the guy that's excited about the adventure continuing, and I'd love to have you on that rocket with me. Right now, I'm going to go meet up with some friends down in McKinney to enjoy another night, and then hopefully we'll send some of them along in a hot air balloon tomorrow morning. All right, that's it for me. I'll catch you guys again on Tuesday. Have a great night.